All right, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Hannah's just joined. Excellent. Now, it's called, obviously, Which Citations Really Work? Okay. So let's start off with our complimentary Dilbert. I'll give you a few seconds to read that. Okay. Now, how does Google get its business information? Okay, this is one of our big questions. Let's see. So when we enter the information into the GMB listing, we know that that's only one part of the process. So let's look at the entire Google data process. I'm sure you're familiar with this. It's from Whiteboard Friday. So we have three major companies that aggregate business data. We have Infogroup, Neustar, and Axiom. So Google rents our information and pulls it into a massive index, which it crawls, and then it pulls it into the server cluster. So I'll show you over here. So this is our index, and then it pulls it into this massive cluster. We also have, that's only one data source. So we also have the business owner himself. He's standing over here, and he's providing information that also could be the SEO manager, like ourselves. It also crawls the information from the citations that it gets into this massive server cluster. Citations like Neustar, Axiom, Yelp, Yellow Pages, etc. Google also looks at government information that it has on businesses. So any information that your corporate or whatever it is will be in the government information, and then Google will actually crawl that information and stick it also into this big server cluster. It even gets information, as we know, from people, users who are looking at information, updating it, sometimes really annoyingly, like lens crafters pushing their links onto our websites and onto our Google My Business listings. And it even gets information from Google Street View over here. So it actually verifies information from that source, and obviously it spits it out into this listing over here that we see when we're searching for a business. So with all these data sources, there's bound to be mistakes in the correct information. So the question is, how do we fix wrong information? Okay, so what we need to do is, first of all, we only have a limited amount of time. So we want to be able to fix citations, which are most important, which are going to obviously spread out to the rest of the aggregators. Okay, so let's take a look at those. So over here, we have our famous Moz local ecosystem. We see that there are, like we said before, the four primary data sources. The aggregators, which we said were Infogroup, Axiom, Neustar, which is also Localese, and Factual. And there are other larger companies that are citations, like Yellow Pages, City Search, and Super Pages, that can also play a role in the cycle, and they send fresh feeds to the search engines every couple of months. Now, if the business information is incorrect at any of these major providers, it may override what the major search engines have in their own databases. So if you're not included in the databases of the major aggregators, then your business is not going to rank as well in Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Right? Sounds obvious. So you can see, the information is being sent around the web. I mean, if you look at this quite a few times, it's going from one place to the other, and we'll delve into it a little bit more to see exactly how information is being processed. So first of all, Localese, right? We said as Neustar. Now this information is actually a little bit old. It's from 2012, but some of it may have changed, some of it may not have changed. But I've made an arrow of the ones that obviously we use, or the local ones. So it's just interesting to see, Localese powers Hopfrog and Yellowbud, and you can see yourself. I'll send this, presentation out at the end. If we look at Infogroup, we see that it powers all.
All right, what do you mean when it says reference and Infogroup source?
So the reference is just where they're actually getting their information from. This website that I got it from is listing all the references of how it knows where Infogroup is powering to. That's what it means.
I don't know what you mean. Like, what's the difference between, let's say, Dexnos and Yellow Pages on this list? I just don't understand why there's a difference.
Okay, so basically we said there's 4 major aggregators. So Infogroup being one of the aggregators is sending basically these smaller citations. Let's say, I mean, Yellow Book's very big, but they are looking at Infogroup for the information, either to verify it or to get the business listing itself. So what we're saying is that it's powering information to all of these smaller ones. I mean, not small, but to all these different citations.
Okay, so I understand that Infogroup is an aggregator that sends information to all of these ones, but I guess my question is, some of them have a blue underlined reference, and some of them say Infogroup source. So does that mean that Dexnos powers Infogroup, or whereas Infogroup sends information to AOL? I'm just trying to understand like why some of them have a different bracket next to it.
Right. So I didn't delve into it, but I would imagine that this is Dexnos and Yellow Book is actually on the Infogroup website. Like they're actually saying, yeah, we power Dexnos, whereas the other ones, it's not actually saying it, but it's thought to believe that these are, being powered by Infogroup, like TomTom, White Pages, if that makes sense. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay, so the third one is CityGrid, Axiom, and Factual. As you can see, this data is a little bit old, right? But it just gives us a picture of how the data actually travels, right? Don't take it as science, but just good information to know. So if you notice that some of them actually repeat themselves, like Yellow Book, local.com, and Yellow Pages. I can go back and you can see like Yellow Book, local.com, and over here, Yellow Book is over here, and Yellow Pages. So that's basically the idea, is that everyone's kind of powering each other, but some of the information will get, second-hand and third-hand being processed. So that's one way of understanding how the data actually comes out wrong. Sometimes, sometimes Boulevard spelled out BLVD, sometimes it's spelled out the whole way. It's like, where's that coming from? So it could be that it's getting information being processed too many times. So we've seen this, and okay, so the question is, right, so which citations do I need to work on? So I know that information is being sent multiple times throughout our, let's say, our ecosystem. So let's have a look at the citations themselves and which ones are ranking best according to WhiteSparks, Moz, and BrightLocal. So if we look at WhiteSparks, we see, of course, number 1. This is actually a list from 50 top citations, but I only did the first 20, or I think so. We see, obviously, Google My Business, and followed by Apple Maps, Bing, right? And if we look, some interesting points is that Express Update is followed by 2 data aggregators, Axiom and Factual. Okay, so a lot of these are the ones that we use, obviously. Now, according to Moz, interestingly, they have a specific citations for opticians. So a lot of these are obviously things that we know. It's our bread and butter citation building. It's just interesting to know that this is what they recommend specifically for citations. And I'll send this out later, and you'll see yourselves. Okay, and according to BrightLocal, this is actually the list from 50 citation sources. The nice thing about this list is it tells us via domain authority, right, which ones are the highest ranking. Again, these are the ones that people are generally adding their business to and not being crawled. So Facebook, Apple Maps, Google My Business. And then the other ones are obviously coming in. And an interesting thing to note on this list is that Angie's list ranked quite high in domain authority, while Hotfrog, which I use quite often, is a little bit lower. Just interesting. Okay, so the question is now, how do we go and fix local citations, right? If we don't have access to citations themselves, so of course we know we use Moz Local and Yext. So these actually, on the outside, are all the citations that Moz Local sends out to them. I've got a few pages of them. You can check them out yourselves. So Moz Local actually gains citations for the clients by sending information to Infogroup, Axiom, Localese, and Factual. And it's important to know that, getting citations obviously accurately published in these 4 data sources can help across all of the different citations. I don't know how it would work if you had, citations being sent twice and 3 times, but it seems like the 4 major aggregators are the main ones that are sending out information. So as long as your information is correct there, it's usually going to be correct in the lower, smaller, let's say, citations. So that's important to make sure that those are the most accurate. And of course, Yext, right? If we had a budget, then we would see that it actually sends out very fast information to 55+ local businesses, including Bing, Google Maps, Apple, Facebook, and Yelp, and Yahoo. And if our client has Yext, let's say, you have to make sure that both Moz and Yext have the exact business listing information. Otherwise, they're going to be sending out different information, obviously, to the 4 major aggregators, and then that's going to mess up your listing. We shouldn't need to worry about it.
Yext does not usually send out to aggregators, so it's still a problem if they're not the same, but there's not that much overlap.
Right, but some of them, like we said before, were included in the listings, like Axiom and Localese, so they are citations as well as aggregators. So that's what I mean. Okay. So
in general, I just want to be consistent. Yeah, also you just want to be consistent in general because eventually it will trickle down from the aggregator, so you'll end up with duplicate listings and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So the question is, right, so now we've checked, so how do we check our citations to make sure that they have accurate information? So the first step of a good citation building is to check, obviously, which ones are actually done. Sometimes we'll get a client and, either we've done the work or the client themselves may have paid for Yahoo or Yelp or something. So we want to check what's actually out there. What are we working with? So we can do this a number of ways. I like to use the Moz Local, sometimes WhiteSparks, and EyeCarePro is a diagnostic tool. Okay, so on Moz, we enter...
What's EyeCarePro's diagnostic tool?
I'll show you. They actually have one. It's actually quite good. So how do I check on Moz? I enter the information. As soon as I enter the information...
Diagnostic Tools, Yext.
It's Yext? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah. It's Yext powered.
So as soon as I enter the information, obviously you can see the other listings have the same name as me, and I'll check the right one, which in this case is Fullerton, California. Then I like to go and obviously see, which ones over here are done, and thank God Facebook and Google My Business are 100%. Sometimes if there's duplicates, it won't say 100%. It'll say like 89 or 90 or whatever. In this case, it's actually saying it can get to 100%. Normally it's not so positive, which is interesting, but we can see easily here which listings to work on. Okay, so if we look at incomplete listings, we can see, I think the first one is Factual and Yelp and whatever. I don't remember all the different names, Hot Frog. But, it just gives us a quick listing of which ones need updating. In this particular client, I have an issue with the 2020, whether there should be a slash or not a slash. In this case, there is a slash, but yeah, I don't know. So if there's none over here, it'll also tell us, right, no listing found, Infogroup, best of the web. Okay, and then I'll check the inconsistent listings. And it would be nice if there was a way to push the information, but that's what you're paying for Moz for. If you're, this is obviously just to get you to pay for it. In this case, the client doesn't have Moz, so I've got to go myself to update the listings. And then I'll check duplicates. Again, over here is a little bit interesting because they have in HotFrog three different listings, but they have the same phone number, but the wrong address, the one website and name. So I'll have to go in there and fix that. I'm not sure why that name is, why the phone number is there. But in any case, now you wanted to know about the ECP, which is pulled from Yext. So here's what it looks like. And I've got the URL at the top. So we'll go and check the business listings here. The nice thing about using this is actually just the sheer amount of information. It just crawls everything from Yext, I'm saying. But it's much easier to use than just typing in, when you're doing like a nap, and you type in the name and the, oh, I can see a lot of chats here. Yeah, I'll tell you which ones we use Moz for also. The nice thing is with this, it tells you all the citations which are online, which is really good. So we'll see over a whole listing, business name. It's just very clear. Might as well use it because it's good to see what's out there, and we can add them easily to our, right, apart from the Canadian ones. We'll see about that in a minute on Bright Local. But yeah, it's just really, really easy to see everything that's out there, and you can add them easily if you want to build up your citations listing on Ninja. And here's some more, and obviously over here it doesn't really tell you if it's not found, you'll have to go yourself and build them, but if there is a listing, you just click View Listing, and then you can update it the same way we all know how. Okay, and now on WhiteSparks, we can check our information, put it in here. As of now, I believe we're not paying for WhiteSparks, so a lot of the information is blurred, but the nice thing about using it is obviously...
I think we are. There's a login, so you should be able to log in and get the information.
Yeah, I did actually log in, but when I checked, it said we used to pay $100, and now we're paying $40, so could be I'm using an old login. I'm not sure.
Oh,
but in any case, WhiteSparks is really good because it, again, gives you a lot of different citations, and it goes by domain authority, so you can check which ones are the most important if you only have a limited time to do it. Okay, so now we've found all the citations we need updating. We understand everything, what we need to do in order to correct them. We understand which aggregators are going to be information to be sent to, and try and update. So now we need to add them to our snowball. Now, what we said before, that we use Moz for US clients. If they're an OD specialty, Metro, Multilock, or OD Site Plus, if we still have that, I'm not sure. But we would use Moz, and obviously the client can pay for it if they want themselves, unless it's one of our discretionary clients. And obviously, we know nowadays that we use Bright Local for Canadian clients. Okay. And this is the Bright Local price list. Oh, Dov joined the meeting. Great. Hi, Dov. So on the Bright Local, I believe I've never used it, but it's a lot cheaper than this, and it seems to send again to the 4 major aggregators for $55 a year, and Moz is $84. It's funny that it's showing Moz on their website with the cheaper price, because I believe it's supposed to be $99, but in any case. So that's the price comparison. Now, so now we know the information that Google receives comes from the Infogroup, Newstar, Axiom, and Factual, right? The main 4 aggregators. So those should help push business data to most of the other citations. And with Google constantly crawling the internet, hopefully we'll get good results. All right, so this is our recap. So now we understand that. Okay, so now the question is, how do I fix my citations? So, as we know, obviously citations are not a one-stop shop, right? We still need to focus our energies on the main sources. So, in our cookbook, that's why I took the information, because it's very hard to know based on domain authority, based on, the ease of using it, but the cookbook seems to be a really good way of using it. It's got, all the ones here that are the 4 aggregators plus the easier ones to do. I wonder if they're more reliable. Could be. So citations first. So we always try and fix the aggregators first. Smaller companies look to them for data, as we said. So if the nav is incorrect in one of these, you have to make sure to fix it ASAP. And being that they all feed off each other, it's very complicated which order to fix the nav. And there's no one magical order that just advise orders based on theory. So this is coming from our cookbook, and it's got all of our information, gathered over many years of doing this. So I rely on that. And here's some useful links. The EyeCarePro Diagnostic Tool, which we said is powered by X, citation cheat sheets, and you'll see the rest later. And thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
I'll ask one thing. So you think the citations that we don't currently do that are on the list should be added or done or whatever?
I think, look, like I said, it's not something which is a science. So if you can't get, let's say, a citation corrected, so let's say you're trying to do a city search, and, I have a lot of issues with it because it doesn't, you have to either pay or you have to send them an email. It's not so easy to just do. So look for another citation that's an aggregator that's feeding to it, and try and update it on that. And then hopefully that will fix the information if you can't use Moz.
Cool. We should maybe update our Ninja list. I think we've been talking about it for years.
Yes, I mean, this is, I'll send this out, and someone can go and update it. Look, I mean, on our cookbook, it does have all these, it had the same, I'll show you, it had all the aggregators on there. What this is basically telling us is if you can't get one citation, worry about it too much, because it's better to get information correct over more citations than, and obviously, with the aggregators being first, but if not, just get more information pushed out there, and it'll hopefully help other citations. I mean, that's the trick, is the more correct information, the more likely it will be pushed around and it will be changed to the correct nav and whatever. Any other questions? Any comments? All right, I'm going to stop this recording. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day, everyone.